Hey, you guys, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Don't forget. Okay, today's video is about the House of Gucci, and I wanted to cover things that weren't true in the movie and what happened after the movie stops covering the story. I am a big Lady Gaga fan, and I loved the film. It was fab. If you guys haven't seen it, you should. It's really entertaining. It's a Ridley Scott movie. The only thing with it everything wasn't totally accurate. So I'm going to quickly break some of that down for you guys in case you're curious. I definitely think you should watch the film if you haven't, to better understand this video. But I'll give you a quick entry level or intro to the film's premise. House of Gucci is a loosely based true story about Patrizia and Maurizio and their beautiful relationship that totally turns out nuts at the end and implodes. It starts out a film about Patrizia and Maurizio falling in love, Maurizio being from one of the most powerful families in Italy, the Gucci family, which at this time is a fashion, still a fashion house that's iconic. She is somewhat of a socialite and she's going to all the right parties, but her dad is in trucking logistics. So it's not like she's from this fancy world, although she is from a decently wealthy family. In the film, Maurizio tries to introduce Patrizia to his father, who is a bit of a snob, and kind of says that, you should just have sex with this woman, not marry her. But Maurizio is in love with Patrizia because she's fun and she's exciting and bubbly. And he misses that in his life because his father is very scheduled and conservative and, lives behind a compound in Italy where nothing is happening. So I think he finds Patrizia exciting. Anyway, they in the film, they have this really great love story, high passioned, and Maurizio, for a period of time, gets cut off from the family, the Gucci family, because he does choose to marry Patrizia. So it shows that they have a true love affair. In the film, he goes to work for a trucking company that Patrizia's dad owns and does all these demeaning tasks, but it turns out that wasn't true. He did get cut off, but didn't work for Patrizia's dad. That was made up. In the film, you see the tug of war between the fathers and the sons within the Gucci family. The sons are trying to kind of get power away from the fathers, and the fathers don't want to relinquish power. And anyway, in the way the film tells it, the uncle reaches out to Maurizio and Patrizia and invites them back into the family again after he's cut off. And so they go and they work for House of Gucci. And this is when things go really wrong because in the film, they really start to have a true power struggle over the shares of the company. And in fact, in one scene, they imply that Patrizia is a great fraudster in the sense that she can forge signatures, and she forges the signature to the share certificate. Why, may you ask, did she forge the signature on a share certificate? It's because Maurizio, dad, before he dies, forgets to sign the share certificate over to Maurizio. And so, number one, they have a huge inheritance tax, which would be millions and millions and millions of dollars. But also, number two, it would make him a controller in the family business. And without that signed, that's in question. So in the movie, they imply that it's her who does it. But in the truth is that he actually is indicted in Italy Maurizio is for forging the signature on the share certificate. And in fact, when we see him in the film leaving for Switzerland, seemingly to protect her, it's actually in real life was really to protect him. That's why he leaves. So while he's in Switzerland hiding out from the cops in Italy about the forged deed, Patrizia stays there, and he goes and stays in Switzerland. And while he's there, he's socializing with all of his rich friends from, like, I don't know if it was high school or college, but obviously he was raised at the finest schools. And so he has a bunch of his socialite friends meet him in Switzerland. And one of these friends is a girl that he's kind of always liked. And so while he's in Switzerland, he hooks up with this girl that he used to like from the olden days, and they like start this affair. And now he's losing interest in Patrizia, and Patrizia is obviously upset because she still loves her husband, and she has 2 children with him that are 2 girls, 2 daughters. And so she is upset. Now, by the way, in the movie, they only show 1 daughter, but he actually had 2 daughters with Patrizia. So Patrizia does her best to get him back, and she begs him to come home. And she's really jealous, it comes off as, because he's not keeping the mistress at the same level as the wife and the daughters. And so Patrizia is like, you know, I'm not going to have my lifestyle destroyed by this mistress. Because in Italy, usually the men, when they have a mistress and a wife, they make sure to keep them at the same level so they can have both and they don't get upset about each other's existence. But in this case, he wasn't doing that. So he was like basically kicking his old family to the curb and going with this new mistress and, you know, giving her the lifestyle. So anyway, it really backfires on him. Patrizia, who is, it's rumored, had a lesbian affair with a psychic that she used to go to all the time, although that's a rumor. The psychic sets Patrizia up with gang members from Sicily who are paid money by Patrizia through the psychic to shoot him in broad daylight, and they do indeed do it. And Patrizia is actually not that sad about it because she's so angry with him at the time. Anyway, she almost gets away with it, except I guess somebody must rat her out. You know, it's obviously a dog-eat-dog situation in Italy, especially within the Gucci family. I wouldn't be surprised if it was her own relatives that, you know, told on her. But anyway, the cops arrest her, and she's sent to prison along with the psychic and the gang members for 20 years. Now, one of the ways that Maurizio gains ultimate control over the Gucci family business from his uncle is he gets the uncle's son, Maurizio's cousin, to turn on his father and report him for tax evasion. And so in return for doing this favor for Maurizio, Maurizio grants him a copyright to not do clothes, but to do a handbag design launch. And so his cousin does the handbags, and the day before he's about to present the handbags to the world that he's now designed for Gucci, Maurizio reneges on the copyright, and he's arrested for using the bags, or the police stop the fashion show related to the handbags, and he loses all of that time, money, and investment in the handbags. Now, in the film, Patrizia meets the psychic Pina by calling a 1-800 psychic number about, like, she wants to know if she's going to be rich and like good things are going to happen. But in real life, actually, Patrizia and Maurizio met Pina while on vacation, and they became friends, and they were actually friends for like almost their whole life. So in the film, it feels like a new friendship, really, but in real life, it was a long-term friendship, which would explain why she reaches out to Pina for help and trusts her enough to have her organize like this gangster meeting to take her husband out. It kind of doesn't make sense in the film, but in real life, they were really, really tight. So in the film, poor Maurizio is gunned down going into his father's like house/office mansion thing in Rome. But in reality, what really happened was he was shot going into his office building in Milan, and he wasn't riding a bike at all. And Patrizia famously writes in her diary one word, and she doesn't write it in, she writes it in Greek. She doesn't write it in Italian, and it's paradise. Yeah. So the two daughters, you might be wondering what happened with them. Obviously, learning that your mom has murdered your father is not great, right? You're like, who do you turn, do you turn on your mom? What's the story? So they were very young. They were in their teens when their father was assassinated by their mom. And they argued that the mom had a brain tumor and that's why she had behaved in such a messed up way that her brain wasn't thinking properly. But when Patrizia got out of prison after serving a partial sentence in Italy, she did go and fight for money from the estate, from the Gucci estate. So think of the audacity of this woman. She murders the heir of the Gucci throne and then, her husband, and then she wants money from the estate to survive. Daughters were instrumental with this argument and got their mom's sentence reduced from 29 years to 26 years. And she ended up getting out in 2016 for good behavior. So she didn't spend that long considering it was murder in prison. Anyway, as I guess time approached for the mom to get out, the relationship between the daughters and the mom strained. I have a feeling because, to be honest, I think the mom was a bit of a social climber and was always about the money. And so she must have kind of demonstrated that to the daughters, and they just were like the audacity and, the way the mom feels entitled probably really irritated them, and they, she was like, you killed our dad, so they probably had some, thoughts on that. But anyway, Allegra and Alessandra, who are that's Patrizia's daughter's names and Mauricio's daughter's names, they inherited the Gucci family residences, the yacht named Creole, and they had a financial worth of about $400 million. Daughters did try to fight the mom from getting annuity from Mauricio's estate, and Patrizia won, and she apparently receives $1.47 million a year from the Gucci estate. I mean, come on. You kill the guy and then you get $1 million a year? I mean, Mauricio's not rolling over in his grave. He's like doing backflips. Unreal. Where is the justice in all of this, right? So the daughters do from time to time do fun things. Like they're very private, but one of them races boats, and has done some designing of handbags, in honor of the Gucci family. They don't have to do much. They can just be rich women. I think they live in Switzerland now as well. And the mom is just, living her best life off her murdered husband estate. What can I tell you? Black Widow. Okay, I'm just kidding. I was trying to be a Gucci ad. Anyway, if you like my channel, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button.